Hello and welcome to Profiles in Risk. This is your host Tony Cañas, wearing my insurance the best industry to work in shirt. Thank you, Rice. I wear this at least once. It's the first thing I wear, and then like when laundry comes out, first thing I wear again. Today I have with me Elle Michell, and this is a recurring guest, basically. So Elle was on the podcast, and I'll very quickly check when that was. But it's been a good 2 to 3 years. Episode 201, and at that time we talked about your risk management career, and then we talked about your coaching practice. So today. Uh, Thank you for joining me again, this time to talk about your risk management consulting practice. So,
Yes,
uh,
thank you for having me.
and are you still Atlanta, Georgia based?
Yes, I'm still based in Atlanta, Georgia with a
Perfect.
global reach.
Which is a huge, like, so in the post-COVID world, we can do so much remote, but from Atlanta, it's so easy to go meet the client whenever they need to see you in person. So yes, I live in Atlanta for the same reason. Basically, I haven't been home for 3 months, but I live in Atlanta for the same reason. So El, tell me about your consulting practice.
Yeah, so last time we talked more about coaching and my career that led me into this space. And so Intelligent Intentions is a boutique consulting firm, and while we offer coaching, I'm leaning more into the space of consulting, particularly consulting as it relates to third party vendors and suppliers that companies use and the challenges that come along with that relationship, right? So, what drove me into this space in particular is that I was part of my responsibility in corporate was the person that would have to tell clients no or potential vendors no because they were not ready. They weren't risk responsible. They didn't have, controls in place and things like that. And so I would have to say, no, they're not ready. They can't be a part of our program. And of course, they wouldn't listen to me because I'm part of the problem because I'm in the ivory tower of the company that's telling them no. But in this side of life as an entrepreneur now, I can help these third party vendors and suppliers understand what it takes to be risk responsible. And instead of just saying, hey, pick me, I want to do business with you, understanding risk management so that they can become a valuable risk partner with these big companies that they're looking to do business with or government entities. And that sets them apart from all of their counterparts because risk is the first, second, and last thing that we look at when the major corporations are looking to bring somebody else into their operations, into their house, into their fold, into their computer systems, into their world, so to speak. And so I want to make sure that I'm helping small businesses scale responsibly and get access to these opportunities. And the big divider, in my opinion, is understanding how to be a valuable risk partner versus just a company that has may have a great product or service, but haven't understood how that risk impacts these bigger organizations.
This is fantastic, really fantastic. I have no idea if others do it. You can tell me, or whether this was a kind of a fresh idea, but I can definitely see the need, because yes, of course, uh, it's very hard for newer, younger, smaller suppliers to be able to partner with a large organization, because yeah, we just don't have I myself, great example. I'm an independent recruiter, basically, right? Um, I chose to do my independent recruiting with basically a franchise model, specifically because having been a recruiter, and I specialize in insurance, right? Having worked with Jacobson, I knew what the clients asked for, and I knew that I couldn't provide those things as a 1 or 2 person shop. So that's why I joined the franchise, but not always an option, right? For recruiters, there happens to be an option like Goodwin, but if I, if my brother goes into, I don't know, supplying security for, or whatever, like whatever type of subcontracting, uh, the Yeah, how is he supposed to have any idea what a Hilton or a Coca-Cola or a, and if I remember your background correctly, you were risk management for Coca-Cola,
Yes, yes.
for BMW, and wasn't it Hilton or one of the big hotel chains also?
No, not the hotel chain. So BMW and Turner Broadcasting, which is the multinational, CNN and all of that. Yeah.
Perfect. So yeah, you've sat on the other seat. You can help us figure out very quickly
Right.
what is it we need. Can you also help us implement what we need?
Yes, and so that's a big part of it too because they don't often know what they need, and then when they find out what they need, they don't know how to do it or what resources to connect them to. And I don't sell insurance, and I don't, you know, so I don't have like any skin in the game as far as like how much commission I can make on getting them to do one thing or another. And so I come from a prudent perspective of just getting them to understand that this is why they're asking for these things. This is the impact that it's going to have potentially on the organization, but also the impact you're going to have on yourself because everybody has to own their own risk. And the company's not looking for small companies to manage the risk for the big companies. They have a whole team for that. But small companies need to own the impact that they're having. And so, yes, I help them understand the impact and how that works and understand what's driving these requirements, and then help them to identify the proper resources to get these things done. And so, if there's a broker, for example, that has a niche in a particular area, then I will help them find that broker and source that, and connect them to that resource and say, hey, here's the best person for you to work with because not only do they understand how to place insurance, they are subject matter expert in your area of expertise. And so you get access to information, benchmarking, and things of that nature so that you not only are you understanding what's happening in your world, you're understanding what's happening in your industry, and you're able to set yourself apart and proactively learn from other people's mistakes so you don't end up in a place where you're creating losses or missteps for the companies that you are connecting to. So it's a very comprehensive approach and understanding of how do you become a valuable risk partner and not a risk burden or the reason why a company has a financial loss, a loss in downtime, a loss in customers, a loss in anything that is of value to that organization.
If I understood correctly, since you're not an insurance broker, you can partner with brokers
Yes.
who can refer you to their clients without risking losing the insurance business.
Correct. And so I partner with brokers, and I also help my clients that don't have a broker, I help them to source the right broker for what they're doing. Because oftentimes small businesses either don't have insurance until somebody asks them for it, sadly, or they will have insurance with whoever places their car insurance or their homeowner's insurance. And that may not be, it's coverage and it's business coverage and it's fine, but it may not be as robust as they need it to be, or they may not have the nuanced subject matter expert that they may need to make sure that they are compliant with regulations, that whatever regulatory authority is responsible for that particular industry, but also that they're able to quickly source the information, the documents that any company is asking them for. So, if it takes you 4 days to get a certificate of insurance because they don't get those requests very often, that's probably not the right partner for you, right? You need to be able to turn things around quick enough and be able to, speak a language on an elevated level to be able to be this responsible risk partner versus someone that's just kind of trying to figure things out.
Are you specializing in a particular type of supplier or basically or on the other hand a particular type of client? So basically, are we working specifically with printing and security companies, or specifically with companies that are partnering with airlines, or is it truly like a very broad?
It's very broad. It's any company that's one or two things. Either they're looking to do business with Fortune 500 companies or government
Perfect.
entities, Okay, so they're looking to do business with the big companies, right? Because these are the companies that I have experience with and I understand what they're asking for and why they're asking for it. So if you're looking to do business with Fortune 100 companies, Fortune 500 companies, and grow your business as a result of doing that, and you don't know where to start or you're getting turned down because you're not risk responsible or you haven't done the things, then that's the client I'm looking at, right? And also companies that may have already have a small contract with these bigger companies, but they're looking to expand and they're not clear about why won't they give me more work? They have more work, but why won't they give it to me? The answer is probably that you don't they don't see that you have the capacity and they're not comfortable in putting all their eggs in your basket because of
That,
how your risk profile looks. So they're like, we'll give you some business, but we're not going to give you all the business. So you're looking to expand that contract and grow your capabilities with that particular company. And I can look at their risk profile and show them, like, here's what you need to understand operationally to give the big companies the comfort, and the sleep insurance that they need to be able to sleep at night and say, okay, yeah, we can give you more business and not think that, a big loss will potentially happen. So those are the companies I'm looking for. And to answer your question, no, it's not a particular niche because I have partners that I consult with in an amazing network in all the different areas that support me and that I can connect to and reach out to in different areas. And then also the requirements aren't that different, right? The contract risk requirements don't change significantly from one type of company to another, right? There may be three or four nuances that get a little bit more love depending on what you're doing. But for the most part, you're either going to be providing a service, providing a product on site or off site, and you may or may not have access to systems. And so when you look at that kind of, those kind of buckets of understanding, I can speak to all of them because I participated and looked at tens of thousands of contracts over my career and was able to say yes or no, and this is why you're getting the no.
okay. I love the help us grow the relationship with our biggest client. Uh, I've had that problem, right? I've had that problem where I get brought in as a niche recruiter because they had a really hard search, and we do really well in that hard search, but you're hiring 600 adjusters and you're not sending me those. You're not, or on the other hand, I got in with the bread and butter, but you won't let me play at the executive level. Like, but how do we help you understand, right? And how do we make sure that we are the right partner for you to be able to partner with us for the other stuff we can do, regardless of what got us in the door. So love that, absolutely love that. What it how does it look like? So somebody sees you on the podcast, reaches out, hey, Elle, this is what we do, and this is where we're trying to get into, or this is where we're uh, how do how does it work? Is it by the hour? Is it a 6 month commitment? How does it work? How does a partnership work?
It depends on the client and where they are and what their needs are. And so we start with discovery to make sure we understand what their needs are and that we're clear on what their needs are and what I can provide. And then we build out a strategy based on where they are and where they want to be. And then, we look at the distance between now and next. And then we understand strategy, time, energy, and what's required. There may be the type of client, for example, that may just say, just tell me what to do and I'll do it. Or I'll get my team to do it. And then they do it themselves. Or there may be the kind of client that will say, tell me what to do, create a process, and do it. And then I'll have the process as a backup if things go wrong, right? So there are different menu options of engagement depending upon the client's need and how engaged they want to be. Because I have some clients who have me as their fractional risk manager, and they're like, "No, you just do it. We'll pay you on a retainer, and we just want you to be the fractional risk manager. And any risk management questions, we're going to have them call you." Right? So I have that kind of client, and then I have some clients who are like, "No, I want to know how this really works, so I can learn and understand the language, so that when I'm in front of these opportunities, I can speak to this specifically." And that's more of training and teaching and coaching them into that space. And that's a different level of engagement. And that's shorter term because at some point when I teach them and then wean them off of the service, then they won't need me as much. And so it really depends on how the client's engagement is and their strategy and their makeup of their team and how much they want to get their hands dirty, so to speak, versus how much they kind of want to just, outsource it to me.
Okay. 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 Um, hmm. Okay. Um, I always love to hear a couple of success stories, and you don't have to share the company name, but a couple of client success stories are always good to really illustrate the power of what you're doing.
Yes, yes. So, one success story as a fractional risk manager, I have a client that has a school in the Midwest, and they've been my client for a while. And so, during the course of the pandemic, they had a couple of losses, and they got denied instantly. They're like, "Nope, it's COVID. We're not going to handle it. Nope, we're not interested." But their policy had not yet changed over. And so their policy still had coverage in there for airborne and waterborne illnesses. And so, as their fractional risk manager, they called me and said, "You know what, can you handle this?" One call to the underwriter, I referenced the section they needed to understand, like, this is covered, here's where it is, there's a sub limit of $50,000, and here are the expenses that we've had to pay, here's what is covered, here's how it's covered, and here's how much we need you to write a check for. And the underwriter hesitated. They looked and they were like, "Well, yep, you're right," because I could speak the language, I could read the contract. And then they had their check in a couple of days after being denied the claim initially, and that made the difference between them having to shut down and stay open. And so all the millions of money, all the millions of dollars I've saved for these big organizations, that made me feel amazing because this was a family-owned um, school. It is a family-owned school. They're still in business, and it supports the founder, her two adult children, their families, and then the 19 people that they hire. So in that community, it would have been, a significant impact to families to have that shut down because they were not able to recover the funds from having to be shut down for 10 days, having to have the cleaning done, and having to have all these things, right? And so I was very proud of that as their fractional risk manager. And it was just heartwarming to be able to do that. And I continue to engage and work with them. So that's one for fractional risk management. As far as working with third parties, I've taught classes for a group of people. It was a group of truckers, and some of them were dispatchers, and some of them were actually our owner operators, and getting them some understanding of their footprint and how they impact organizations and how their insurance has to align, but also how their operations need to align. Like, what happens if you're the owner operator and you're not available? Do you have backup drivers? Do you have team drivers? Do you have a community of people that you can connect the dots with? Do you have a segment of backup, and do you have people who can support you? And having them understand not just insurance, because insurance is the easy part of risk management. You can call somebody, get some insurance, they'll sell you some insurance, right? But operationally, what does that look like? Are you going to create downtime? Are you going to create, slower time or delays for this particular company? Because that can cost them a lot of money. It may cost you a little bit of money, but it costs them a lot of money if they can't deliver to their customers when they say they're going to deliver to their customers. And having them understand that they were their eyes were open and they understood, and that by the end of that class, they started creating partnerships with each other to back each other up. And so it was great to see that they could implement immediately within that community, but also take some of those lessons and articulate them to the people that they're working with to say, okay, here's what separates me from people who may be competing for these particular opportunities, because I'm on time and I have backup and I have these controls in place in the event that I'm unwell or cannot access the job. So that was very refreshing and good to see how that unfolded. Like, literally right before my eyes, a community was created, and they came in as strangers.
Fantastic, fantastic. Love that. That makes a ton of sense. Um, when this goes live, I'll tag you on LinkedIn.
Mhm.
What is the best way to get on your calendar to have that intro conversation for anybody who listens to this and wants to partner?
Yeah, so on LinkedIn, you can access my calendar and schedule a discovery call. And so underneath my picture, like right in the profile area, there's a link there to say, that you can do a discovery call or click to contact me. And you can click on that link and go directly to my calendar. Also, you can access my calendar from my website under the Let's Talk button and get on there and do a discovery call. And we can unpack what you need and how I can assist you in getting there. And yeah.
Fantastic. I really, as a small business owner, really can't imagine a better way to figure out how to comply with, because you're right that like large companies don't help you with this, right?
Right.
They're hard to get into, and then right, like whoever business unit brought you in and wants to work with you
Hmm.
doesn't know this stuff. Last
Right.
second, the compliance gets involved,
Hmm.
procurement and compliance, and uh, if if you don't have an L by your side on your shoulder, a little L on your shoulder, you have no idea what to do with this.
That's very true. And the interesting thing about the culture of corporations, risk management department is like the parent that's going to say no, like the difficult parent. And so a lot of times the business unit owners will wait until the last minute to call risk management and say, "Oh, by the way, we got to get risk management to sign off on this." And companies will have checked every single box for procurement, for security, all the things, and they get to risk management and we're like, no, sorry, like you don't qualify based on risk management. Whereas if they come to risk management first, it would save them and the vendor so much time, so much more time, because now they've spent weeks and maybe months even going through this process only to arrive at risk management. It's like, nope, sorry. And we're not being mean, we're being protective. It's our job as risk managers to protect the organization and make sure that we're not going to be in a situation where there's a significant financial loss or downtime, or we're not, that we can continue business right in a fluid manner. And so it's unfortunate, but if the procurement team and the business owners just were brave enough to go to risk management first, it would save everybody so much more time.
Absolutely, and they don't. Right, they don't think about it. Like the last, it's just like insurance is always the last thing that people think about. Same story.
Yeah.
You're right. The business is trying to solve their problem. The last thing they think of, especially if it hasn't bit them before, right?
Right.
If it's bit them before, then maybe they develop the maturity to know that the corporate maturity to
Right.
know that they should go to procurement and risk management up front. But the reality of the matter is that they probably don't. So
Yeah, that's
El,
true.
thank you so much for your time today. Looking forward to see how you grow this thing, and thank you for what you're doing.
Thank you for having me back, Tony. It's always great to see you, and I love that you're hanging out in Argentina these days. And I've been there once many years ago, but I remember it fondly. So you
It's
continue to
beautiful.
inspire me as I check you out on LinkedIn and all the moves that you're making. So continued success
Thank
for
you.
you.